Hi, and good morning. Welcome to Friday.
Y'all, he has got to get his crap together. I'm so sorry. Man, my
Me?
back hurts from
Me?
carrying.
Me?
My back hurts from carrying all this. Man, it is tough. It's tough having to be the technical person. It's
am
tough having to be the upbeat, having to be the funny person. It's tough, y'all. Can I get some help in here? Can someone please help me?
The level of patience that I have been given rivals that of Job. I mean, rivals that of Job. I literally have the patience of Job.
Or so he said. That is.
Look, I'm smiling. I'm having fun.
Oh Lord.
We are drinking, Jeff, but just coffee.
Oh yes, it's great.
Oh, good morning. Good morning. I love the old switcheroo when we switch everything up, and we're going to do something completely different today. As I'm working on it, completely different. It gets changed 7 times. It's okay. It was just twice.
It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. Y'all, it is Friday. What's the comment say? What was our title called today?
Friday Follies.
So you're the one that did this.
I did this.
So you're the one that did
this. Good morning, Facebook user. Hey, happy Friday, Kristen. Lynn, if you're going to have a prayer request, please put me on it first. I would appreciate that.
Did Lynn say, I don't know who to pray for? Yeah. You might want to pray for us. We're going to need neither one of us to get a head start.
Maybe you start with me.
Oh, Lord.
Good morning, Mags. Hope everybody is fantastic. If you're with us, please tell us good morning.
Facebook user, identify yourself. So the Facebook users that aren't going to put their name on their thing.
I don't know if they can.
You need to have a unique little like walkout line. Like
I don't know if they can help it because StreamYard seems to be kicking people off and doing.
Alex Martin always says top of the morning. I hope this flames don't get so big out there that it catches our cushions on fire. They're getting to be pretty big.
Super high.
I don't. They're like it's raised all the way up where you don't have that big of a flame, but it's getting pretty big out there.
It sure is.
If y'all see me exit right, stage right, super quick, it's because our couch is on fire on the back porch.
Look at that mug right there. That is my favorite mug.
If y'all see me exit quickly, it's because our couch is on fire on the back porch.
Your brother.
My brother's on here? Oh, look at there. Well, hello there, Craigaroo.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. So, go ahead.
No, you're good.
No, you're good. Go.
So we've got. So we've got. So yesterday afternoon, Aaron asked me if I had any conversation because some of y'all may find this crazy to realize. Thank you, Carrie Leland, by the way, for the mug. This chaos coordinator. She knows me so well. She got me this. It's called Chaos. She got Aaron one that says Early Bird. She got me one that says Chaos Coordinator.
There should be one that
There's a lot of chaos that has to be coordinated up in this group.
There should be one that just says chaos.
That's pretty funny.
Wasn't that a character in Incredibles?
I don't know.
Wasn't the little bad guy's name Chaos?
I don't know. I'm not very good with names, especially from characters from the Incredibles. But anyways, go away, Cleo. Back up. But you're still in trouble from earlier this week. Go away. So I don't know if y'all heard the story about me losing Cleo this week.
Twice.
Just once.
Really? Oh, that was twice.
Just once. So sorry. I feel like I have stuff in my eyes because I was laughing so hard. So ladies downstairs listening to this mayhem from downstairs. Dingus is probably going crazy. But so Cleo decides that he likes to take strolls. And he normally comes back. Like he'll stroll and then he'll come back. Well, the other morning he took a stroll and 2 hours later he was not back. And I was like, this isn't good. So I know y'all probably think that's kind of an irresponsible pet parent move, but it's really not because there are some certain family members of this was my prayer at the time that Cleo didn't come back. I hope whoever has him takes good care of him because when he's not angry, he's really a sweet dog. So good morning, everyone. Look at Alex Martin with her name showing up and whatnot.
Girl.
So I take a stroll around Cuskawilla looking for him, just all around the lakeside, everything. Can't find him. So I see a couple of people walking, and I just asked them if they'd seen a white dog, and they're like, "Well, I saw one earlier, but not recently." And I was like, "Okay, well, he's a little white dog. He's got a little red bandana with white polka dots on it. If you see him, he's mine, and I'm over at the arbors." So this was probably about an hour and 15 minutes into him being gone. So then I drive. So then I come back home, go outside and do something. I'm like, well, maybe he'll come back. I come back thinking maybe he'll be sitting on the back porch. No, there was a dog laying on a driveway over on the next road. And normally Cleo will migrate towards other dogs. That dog was just chilling, and I'm like, well, he hadn't seen Cleo because Cleo would be right up beside him if he'd been here. So my neighbor says, I'll go take another stroll around Hawks Ridge. And I said, I'm going to go the other direction looking for him on the golf cart. So as I'm opening the garage to go out to get the golf cart out, Cleo comes running up. And a neighbor had, lo and behold, I'm keep watching for the fire to be flaming up. The neighbor, he had strolled up to this neighbor who has a dog, very similar to Cleo, but he's more of a blondish color, not white like Cleo is. More of like the honeyish blonde. And apparently Cleo had gotten up there. They were kind of chilling out, playing around on the back porch. They'd gotten hot, so they went inside. Cleo had some treats. She said, he's so sweet. I said, he is sweet. She said, but he was like laid up on my couch looking out my front door the whole time he was there. Like, Mom's going to be here any minute to get me. Who's the Facebook user? Oh, that's Craig. That's your brother. So she's like, he was just laying there looking out the front on the back of the couch, just chill. If I'd get up and get something, he'd walk over into the kitchen thinking he was fixing to get another treat. She said, so then I said, well, let's take one. So then somebody, I guess, put something on a message that said, hey, there's somebody in the arbors. If anybody's seen a little white dog, somebody in the arbors was looking for it. And she said, so she drove him over. And so he found his way home. So he got to live the life. He got to see how the other side lives. The other half lives.
On Hawks Ridge.
On Hawks Ridge. Yeah, because he was in one of those like $4 million lakefront homes, just chilling, probably sitting there like this, like being fed like treats.
Somebody fanning him.
The fan.
Poor Cleo.
Yeah. So Aaron said, well, and this morning, these dogs are so annoying in the morning because it's like there's chipmunks and there's deer running around. Our Alexa, who we have to call Ziggy in the bedroom.
You can't say that out loud. She never. Alexa, stop.
Yeah, sorry. Now we've got this one in here going. I won't name her name, but this one in here is doing this now. So she opens up the curtains at a certain time. Travis Tritt starts singing. We've got all sorts of things just happening.
Just absolute chaos.
It all just happens, and we hadn't even woke up yet. All this stuff just happens.
We have dogs jumping over, step on your face, trying to kill
the crazy.
Oh gosh.
But anyway, so Aaron got up this morning and said, I think Cleo might be Cherokee for pain in the ass.
Annoying.
Annoying, is that what he said? Yeah.
Cleo's Indian word for annoying.
So anyways, but we're all here and they're all chilling out now and they love it. And so, and we're here. And here we are. So what are we going to talk about today? Anybody got any suggestions of any topics you guys want us to talk about? Any topics? Anyone? So I'm going to say this. I am going to say this. And if Heather Braswell's...
I knew she wouldn't let anybody talk.
Heather Braswell, while somebody else is thinking up a topic, you guys might want us to... It's almost like we need to draw a card with a word, and then we just go from that. Like Mad Libs, where you like start a sentence, and then you just... It's like you give us 3 words, and then we go from there. So... So this week, we had a little situation with... a closing going on, and for those of y'all that saw the reference that Heather B made on the agent page about she had to pull the bulldog out, and y'all, I've been so chill down here. It's been good. I played pickleball this week, 3-0, rookie record of 3-0. It doesn't get much better than that, y'all. We've
see where Carson gets it.
We've had some conversations with some people this week that are great conversations with agents. We've had a couple of new agents come on board with us this week. Super excited about that.
In fact, I added Jennifer to the agent. I don't know. I haven't seen her yet, but
maybe she'll be on here.
She's added on
So
here.
we've just got. I mean, there's a lot of really super cool stuff going on. So yesterday afternoon, Aaron. So the closing thing happened.
Imagine waking up to that and Travis Tritt. Imagine Travis Tritt singing to you while that's going on,
So
while they're stepping on your face.
So
while you're trying to wake up.
So the closing's happening. So Heather B calls me, asks me a question, and says, "Hey, is it normal for someone to leave bedding and sheets in a house when it's sold?" And I said,
pretty disgusting, actually.
Kind of gross if we're being honest about it. I mean, maybe someone who plays nude pickleball wouldn't mind sleeping on somebody else's sheets.
Nude pickleball?
You didn't see the article yesterday.
I didn't.
He should stay tuned. Michelle Tilson, get a hold of him. Carrie Leland posted an article about nude pickleball. So that's what I'm screaming. Because I saw us running around the other day with clothes on, and I can assure you it would not have been pretty if there had not been clothes on. It would have been really bad. So anyways, there's a men's group that plays on Friday mornings, pickleball.
Oh, shoot. I meant to get to do yoga this
morning. So we're gonna let the happenings on downstairs get finished up. So Heather calls me about this bedding that's been removed from the house by the sellers, understandably so, because the home's being sold furnished. Okay, home's being sold furnished. This is honestly, this is kind of a brief snippet of a training, a little bit for agents. So home's being sold furnished, which means furnishings, not bedding. It wasn't sold turnkey. Didn't mean pots. Didn't mean tools in the shed. None of that was discussed in the listing. It was sold furnished, which is couches, tables, chairs, light fixtures, that kind of stuff. Those things are staying. Buyers do the walkthrough the day before closing and decide that they are not going to close because the sellers removed the bedding.
Oh, that right there is what we wake up to. I swear on my life, that's what we wake up to. Would you? I refuse. My contract says I do not have to do calls on the couch. I'm doing this in contradiction of my contract. I will not do this again. I will go back to my regular studio.
If you'll submit your contract for review, I'll be sure to look at it. We'll see if we can't.
I think you're the one violating the contract.
So,
off of me. And I love dogs. Good gosh.
That was pretty good right there.
Just in replay slow motion, please. I have to watch that on the. I have to do that on the replay, so you go back and watch it later to watch.
Maggie, Apollo is not chill. I'm sorry, Apollo is not chill.
Maggie, I'm gonna tell you right now.
I don't know which dog you're talking about, but I can tell you, Apollo.
The dog that y'all have, no Apollo, he ain't chill.
Not chill. So
not in our house.
He might be chill like when it's bedtime, when it's just him in the house and no one else is there.
And his eyes are supposed to be sleeping.
He's chill, but when he's at our house, he ain't chill. So, anyways, long story short, I call. So Heather's kind of calling. I'm like, no, I don't leave sheets. I mean, I've literally had people buy homes that were turnkey, and the buyers called me and said, I need you to send somebody over to strip all the bedding. I want unless they're in a brand new package of wrapped sheets. I do not want that bedding and those sheets in that house. Take all of it out.
Mattresses.
Yeah, they even had us remove the mattresses. Actually, they did not want the mattresses. So there was your replay, Jeff. By the way, so it was a little slower. Cooper heard you. So I said no, it's not. Well, they decided they were going to hold up a closing over it. This is the final day of closing. Unilateral extension for those of y'all, and they said, well, we'll just put the unilateral extension in so the seller can bring the bedding back. Seller had agreed, dude, if you want the bedding, you can have it. We don't care. We were just going to haul it off to the Goodwill. They were literally hauling it off, thinking that that's what they were supposed to do. Because any other time, if a seller leaves a bunch of junk behind that the buyer has to get rid of, they're fussing and complaining that they got to pay somebody to come get rid of it. So, anyways, long story short, we had a fantastic. I'm so thankful that we had an attorney in Milledgeville, and we've got some good attorneys in Milledgeville. Don't get me wrong. I mean, Striblin Law Firm is a fantastic law firm, but this attorney in particular, I called him the next morning because I actually got the message from Heather late that night, and like late the night that it was kind of going down, the night before closing was supposed to happen at 10 a.m. and I didn't see the message because I'd crashed on the couch watching Suits, and I didn't see her message till the next morning. Well, by then, the buyers had already decided they weren't coming to closing. They were going to submit a unilateral extension. And I'm like, wait a minute. No, they're not. They're not submitting a unilateral extension because nothing about this satisfies the requirements for a unilateral extension. Right. There are very specific reasons you can submit a unilateral extension.
In Georgia, not
in Georgia. This is Georgia we're talking about. So I called the attorney. I'm out by the pool, chilling. Heather calls me. We're talking. I call the attorney, and I had 2 questions. I said, I have a question. One, are you prepared for closing? He said, yeah. I said, is the lender prepared for closing? He said, yeah. I mean, he said, I got to stop and pick up. It's a local lender. I'm stopping and picking up their package on the way to the Milledgeville office because he works out of their Sparta office. It's Hitchcock, and they have an office in Milledgeville. They have an office in Sparta. And he said, yeah, everybody's ready. I said, well, there's no unilateral extension. He said, no, I agree. 100%. The unilateral does not satisfy this situation, because unilateral is, they can only do it even if the attorney couldn't satisfy title requirements. It has to be due to no fault of the buyer or seller, of one of the parties. Okay. If the lender wasn't ready, it has to be due to no fault of the buyer. If the buyer delayed getting them their stuff, the buyer didn't sign a disclosure when it had been sent.
Isn't the key to that is it has to be no fault of the buyer?
It's due to no fault of the buyer or the seller. That's right. But still, it still has to fall within those very specific guidelines. It has to be the lender could not satisfy their obligations, the attorney could not satisfy their obligations, or the seller was unable to clear a title objection due to no fault of their own. So let's say they had to get another part. So maybe there was an old cloud on the title that they had to get a relative to sign off on, and it had been sent to them, and the seller had been cooperating, but the other person had not been cooperating. That is a due to no fault. If the seller just says, I'm not doing it, and we can submit a unilateral extension, if you want to give me 8 more days to see if I decide I want to do it, that doesn't satisfy them deciding that they're going to not, even if betting had been part of the contract. Let me just say this. Even if betting had been part of the contract, unilateral extension would not have applied in this situation.
So I'll say this, because I see this a lot. She deals with the Georgia stuff a lot more than I deal with it, but I see it a lot where people use that unilateral extension for things they shouldn't use it for.
That's not, it doesn't qualify for,
it's
right?
like a blanket, all y'all option free.
They think it is.
8 days, and that's how it's used.
Right.
And let's say I've got a free 8 days, and you actually don't have a free 8 days.
You don't.
It is for specific things.
And I basically told them, I said, if the buyers so I called the attorney. So 10 o'clock had already passed. I called the attorney. It's like 10:30 at this point. I said, do you have any time this afternoon available for a closing? Because the closing should have been happening right then. And he looked at the calendar and he said, I have a 1 o'clock and I have a 2 o'clock. And I said, well, our clients are coming from about 2.5 hours away. So if you've got a 2 o'clock, put us down on the 2 o'clock. I will call our seller, our clients, tell them to back, because they'd already agreed to bring the bedding back. It was still in the bags that they had packed it up in. Bring all that stuff back. Be sitting at the closing table today. Sign your papers. And if they don't show up and sign, then they're in default to this contract and they have breached the contract. They're going to lose their $5,000 earnest money. And he said, I agree. And the attorney was holding the earnest money. So that it worked out. It was very good that he understood. No, he wasn't holding the earnest money. The other broker was holding the earnest money. So, but it worked out very well that he understood, because he knew when I asked those 2 questions, were you ready? Was the lender ready? So we get to closing, seller signs, buyers can't get there. He says, we're actually going to be closing an escrow today. He said, I'm considering this closed today because the lender has even said they're not going to change the paperwork. Everything's dated for today. They've already wired their money. The money's sitting in my escrow account. So money had been tendered. It's just that he had to close an escrow pending signatures from the buyers on these documents. So fast forward to that night, after the sellers already come and close, because I started to do a 2-day extension that day, sitting at the closing table, and the attorney said, nope, I don't want you to do an extension because everything's dated for today. So there wasn't even an extension. I was going to do a mutual extension with the seller sitting there and have them sign it, and then the buyers could have signed it electronically. He said, nope, you don't need to do that because we're not extending. It's closing today in escrow. We're just pending. If they don't come and sign their papers when they're supposed to, they've defaulted on the contract. They forfeited their earnest money. And if they fight the earnest money, then they're going to be up against all the additional expenses that are going to go along with them fighting the case that they will likely lose. So all these things are, it's important. And again, this goes along with what I've said so many times. It's never a problem until it is. Okay. And again, this is another situation where I know that our agents have done what needs to be done, because the last thing I want is a call at the at the 11th hour saying, here's a situation, and I look at the paperwork and it's wrong. We can't have that, right? I mean, so thankfully we are, however many times it's happened, to zero of always being in the right and having our things in place. But again, there's been times that I've actually had to have agents correct another agent who has submitted an offer, correct their paperwork, because in the event something goes awry, this is not enforceable. This is wrong.
Right. And
okay.
That's where that really comes into play. Is again, in the beginning, when it's not a problem, it's not a problem.
Right.
But when it is a problem, you have nothing to stand on, and then we have no way to defend you. She has no way to defend, because quite honestly, that puts us in a really bad position. To we can't do it. We can't defend you, or can't defend our position as a company. And we've got. I'll say this: 99, all of y'all usually do a really, really fantastic job on your paperwork. The ones that don't do a great job usually leave us and go to other companies because they get offended by
the fact that I'm particular about the paperwork.
The fact that we say this has to, you got to get this signed. You got to check this box. Those little boxes mean something.
That's right.
Those dates mean something.
That's right.
Those little blanks in there, they mean something. And those things have to be done correctly. And they're not done correctly, we can't do our job for you, right? So we had this situation come up where, and in Tennessee it's a little different than it is in Georgia. Because in Georgia we all get to close at the same table, and so typically at closing, when everything's signed, everything's funded, you can get paid, and everything's good to go. In Tennessee, when we have separate closings in two title companies, and they're across town or they're not in the same building, it takes a minute to get that done. So a lot of times we're not able to get the agents paid at closing because it's not been funded yet, and it won't get funded until the funding title company has all the original signatures.
Right.
So it takes a little bit. But we've had some issues in Tennessee where, like, I want my check now, and it's like, okay, and we go back and do the compliance review to make sure everything in the file is right, and it's not right. Well, you don't have this signed, you don't have this documented.
Well, that's normally happening before closing, but yeah, that makes it very, very difficult, even when that's happening a day or two before closing. Understand? So I say all that to say, and Craig said, I had to try to negotiate additional repairs. Now, if it's repairs that have already been agreed to prior to closing and they're just not completed, that's something that can survive closing, or that's something that you can have something held back in escrow. There are things that can happen if somebody is at that point breaching or defaulting on a contract. But trying to come in and negotiate all the way to the closing table and change things up and think you're going to leverage, and that's,
I know people that do that.
Oh my gosh, I've had it happen a ton.
I've had people that they get something under contract and get through their inspection period or get through the period due diligence or things like that, and they try to they negotiate more and more and more, negotiate the price down, negotiate things getting thrown in, and because they believe now they have it under contract, they have some kind of leverage over the property that they're able to do.
Stop it. So last week, I think y'all knew, I think I might have sent a picture to y'all. I did a 6-hour advanced contracts class. Barbara Hancock was on it. Teal McKinney was on it. Hats off to you two for being on that contracts class. I'm going to tell you guys, we might need to put them in the pen. Will you put them in the crate? I'm going to say this, that that advanced contracts class, it was not going through the contracts line by line. That's not what that was. It was talking through situations that come up in contracts that you guys, I'm telling you, I have seen a lot. And there was a lot of the stuff on that call and on that through the video with the attorneys and stuff and other brokers that were providing input that we're going to have to take a brief 2-minute, 30-second recession.
No, intermission.
We're in a recession now. We're in a recession. We wish it would only last 2 minutes. Hang on. How do you pause this thing? Oh, just keep talking. Okay. So y'all need to go away. You guys are killing me. So let me have it. I'll do it. So, but that class, you guys, was fantastic from the standpoint of, I was thinking you were gonna put them in the crate when you did this intermission. He didn't understand the assignment. So it just talked through different situations that come up in these, in contracts. And some of them were very very good discussions. I mean, very good discussions. And those are the kinds of things, y'all, next time I see this happen, I see one of these classes coming up that Seth Weissman's doing, I promise you, I'm going to have I think I'm going to mandate it for you guys to go. If I have to get a sponsor to come in and pay for y'all's classes to do it, you got 6 hours of CE credit. It was a Zoom call. You didn't have to go anywhere. But I'm telling you, it was great discussion of things that went on. So, but I even learned something. I learned, which I'm questioning it. I've still got to look further into it because I am questioning it because some of the contracts that are available in our GAR forms contradict something that one of the facilitators of the class said. It wasn't Seth that said it. It was the other lady, which she was very, very sharp. But anyways, but I'm just saying, when we have opportunities like that, you guys, I mean, it was an all day thing. It was from 9 to 12, and then they took a break for an hour, and then it was from 1 to 4, I think. But it was 6 hours of CE credit. Fantastic. I mean, those are the kinds of CE classes that I want to see you guys take them, because they go into some fantastic topics that you guys need to know.
This is a great spot for me to jump in and talk a little bit. It won't be a long time, but
That's okay.
I want you to understand what is happening. So I read something yesterday. Lawrence Young, who's the NAR economist, he's the National Association of Realtors. He's the person that talks to the Federal Reserve. He's the guy that's always paying attention to the economy and then reports back to the association as to what's really happening right now. So if you're not, Tom Ferry said this, I watched this the other day. Y'all understand, we're about to have a purging of agents. Okay.
Yep.
We're about to have all these agents who jumped in the last 18 months because it was so easy and things were selling as soon as they hit the market. I'm not sure if y'all are seeing this. It's starting to slow a little bit. Things are selling for 20, 30% higher. The buyers are getting tired. You've got an interest. The Fed's raising the rate.
Went up half a point yesterday.
It's gone up the mortgage has gone up 300 basis points in the last 6 months. So a $300,000 house 6 months ago the mortgage rate was $1,200. Now it's $1,800. So we're having some pushback from the economy where we are as an industry. Okay, I'm saying all that to say this. What she just said is you've got to pay attention. You've got to be a student of this profession. You've got to be involved in what's going on from a contract standpoint, what this says, from an economy standpoint, what this looks like. We've got to be able to have the conversations with the public when they come in and say, is this a bubble? Is this about to crash? Is this all these other things? It's not a bubble.
It's not a bubble, for sure.
We are getting some pushback on the pricing. And so understand, when you talk to a seller, when you're going in and you have this listing appointment and the seller said, you know the house is worth $300,000. The seller wants, I want $340 for it. It may not be worth $340 in the current market.
That's right.
In the market 6 months ago, in the market 2 months ago, it may have been $340,000. But because they're going to say, my neighbor down the street just sold their house for $320,
and it was listed for $280. So now they want to start their listing at
right.
$320, thinking that it's going to push to $360, and it's not, because where the $280 started pushed it to $320. But then you don't get to start at their ending point and think that it's going to push that much higher, because it's not.
But you've got to be able to have the conversation with them and be educated enough to have the conversation with them to say, here's what's going on in the marketplace. Here's what buyers are thinking. Because I'm telling you, in the lower end properties, less than $400,000, buyers are tired. FHA buyers are tired.
Oh man, I got a call yesterday from one.
VA buyers are tired. They're frustrated, and then you look at the ones that had, the multiple offers, the 10, 15, 20 offers. That's not happening anymore.
It's just not happening right now. And this is a good segue into what you're talking about right now. But so I'm going to interject this. But the post yesterday, did you ever read that post about the post that was on Facebook?
I didn't have a phone all day yesterday.
Oh, that's right, because he changed his phone. So yesterday they posted, Michelle, I don't know who posted the Facebook post. Was it Kristen?
Oh, Michelle and Kristen went door knocking.
Yeah, when they went door knocking. Okay. So there was a post that there's a Rivian, opposed Rivian, something. It's a community opposes the Rivian plant or whatever, which I guess is the battery plant for electric cars. In Morgan County. So a lady, and I think her intent of her post was basically
It
saying,
was very complimentary.
recognizing, and she was recognizing the hard work and work ethic. Like that's not something you typically see from realtors. And I wish that she had actually mentioned our name to start with, because as soon as she said that, she kind of, again, you guys, I have my philosophy about vague book, because I think people will post things and say things that leave just enough room for interpretation that the comments can go either way. Okay. And then they don't hop out there and correct it. They don't clarify what they meant by the post. But I took her post, I believe, for the way that I think it was intended, which is,
I didn't read that negatively.
I didn't read her post negatively, but the comments underneath it were very negative. So again, depending on what you're wanting to see, okay, out of any situation is where it goes. So the person that's sitting there on Facebook, the Facebook warrior, the Facebook troll, that's going to sit there and take that comment and say, oh, they're the vultures, they're the scammers, they're just trying to come in, tell them you want $500,000 an acre. And she's like, they didn't even ask me. My house isn't for sale. They just talked to me about real estate. And so further down in the comments, she said, this was a legitimate company. They talked about real estate. They were very nice. They stood there and talked to me, and they gave me their cards and they left. They didn't. My house is not for sale. They didn't even ask me to sell my house. So I went in and commented. So of course the screenshots are on our agent group text message, and I went in and commented on the actual. I went and invited myself to the page, added myself to the page, and went in and made a comment underneath and just said, and of course you guys know I'm going to go to bat for you. And I just said, I personally, it's unfortunate, whatever I said, but I said, I know the two agents, they are local, they are honest, and they are hardworking. Like some of the hardest working agents you're going to meet. I mean, you guys are out there in the hot freaking heat of the day. I mean, it is like hell hot out there right now. It is ridiculously hot right now. And even inside it's hot. Like I can walk into an 80-degree house and it feels like I'm walking into a cooler from walking outside. Right. So I made the comment, but here's the thing. It was Michelle and Kristen out door knocking. Mm-hmm. What they were doing was going out, and do you guys understand how many people love to talk about real estate? Michelle or Kristen, if either one of y'all are on here, chime in. Tell us, or shoot, I'll add you to the darn stream. I would love to know how that conversation went with her. What was she actually wanting to talk about?
I think Michelle said that she was super sweet.
She was very sweet. They had a long conversation. Yeah. But my question is, what was the subject matter of the conversation? Because you guys, that is key. You guys getting out, walking around. I mean, people walk around and campaign. Politicians come and knock on your front door, and they want to talk to you, and they want to find out. Oh, it was you and Michelle, and she was sweet. Okay, yes. So, Brooke, what was the conversation? Like, what did she talk about? Like, what are the topics? Because I know that when people realize you're a real estate agent, they're going to ask you questions. They may not want to sell their house, but they want information. Everybody loves to talk about real estate.
So that's what. So that then goes back to what I said earlier. You've got to be a student of the game. You need to be in the MLS. If you're going to door knock a neighborhood, do your research. Know how many houses have sold. Know what the days on the market are. Know what prices are selling for. Know what the price per square foot is. Know what things you're going to talk about. Right. I'm telling you, even if you make, I don't want you to do this.
Don't make it up, but at least make something up that's not so far-fetched that it would be a lie.
Even if you did make it up, because you come from a place of knowledge, there's a perception that you should be knowledgeable. There's a perception because you're licensed, you're a professional. That's what the public believes.
Even if you just know an average price point, just go out there and pull up what your average price point is. Pull up what your average days on market is in the area you're going to go door knock that day. You can pull it up in like 10 seconds.
And y'all know my door knocking thing. I tell y'all to go get his estimate. Get on Zillow, pull up his estimate, and pull up theirs. And just have his estimate say, this is what Zillow says your house is worth. I promise you, they're looking at it.
And Zillow gives you a range. They give you a really, really broad range where you could at least have an educated and say, this is what some of the algorithms are saying your house is worth right now. And this is all based on homes in the area that have sold that are comparable to yours. I could give you a more detailed estimate if you're really interested, or we can just talk. We're not really here trying to get you to sell your house. We're just here introducing ourselves. If there's ever anything that we can do, if there's ever anything that we can do to help you, here's my card. Give me a call. All you're doing is providing value. All you're doing is leaving them better than you found them, with just a little bit more information than they had the second they opened that door when you knocked on that door.
And understand that's a seed.
It's just a seed. You're just planting seeds. Yep.
Because it's a relationship, right? And that's why 68. If y'all watched that video the other day for that they put on the page, 68% of all listings come from referrals, people that you know already. And so for you to, Coach Burt says, you don't need more money, you need more people.
You need more people.
Because people have the money.
Yep.
And when you're able to solve a problem, that's when money exchanges. That's when money changes hands. If someone has a problem and you are able to solve that problem or provide them a solution, build the bridge from the problem to the solution, that's when money exchanges hands.
Yep.
So the more people you talk to, the more conversations you have, the more problems you encounter, the more solutions you present, the more money you make.
That's right.
And that's the way this works.
All it is.
So I'm super proud of y'all for getting out there and doing that.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you this. There was a property that came up for sale. So it wasn't this. Yes, it was this past weekend when y'all played golf.
Mm-hmm.
It came up for sale last week in Cuskawilla, across the fairway from us, just across the fairway from us, down right at the 13th tee box. No, at the 13th green. One house in from the very end of the fairway, 13th green.
Super cool listing.
Cute little house. Grossly underpriced. Grossly underpriced. $200,000 underpriced. Okay, 200,000 at least. 200,000 underpriced.
Which goes to Carrie's point. They actually didn't pay attention to what the prices were doing in the area,
or they didn't associate it. So when I actually called the agent and said, "Why did you price this house so low? I hope like crazy that you priced this. Your strategy was, I'm going to price this thing so low that people are going to be fighting over it, and you're going to run the price up." They took the first offer they got. They took 2 backups. Their backup offers are stronger than their contract. Surprisingly enough, they're the only agent on the primary contract. They got 2 backup offers, and I'm having conversations with these. Well, I had a conversation with the agent on the phone, the first one, the actual listing agent shown in the MLS, and I said to her, I said, "Why did you price this thing so low? I don't understand. Like, why would you price it that low whenever you could have easily probably gotten $200,000 more for this house than what you priced it at?" So hopefully your contract is significant. Their contract is higher. She wouldn't even tell me what the contract price was because because I was going to submit a backup offer for one of my clients. And she wouldn't even tell me what it was. I said, you can tell me what the contract price is. There's nothing that says you can't tell me what it went for. Learned that in the 6-hour class. Learned it. They actually, unless the seller specifically says you can't, you can, because it's inherent in the listing that you're allowed to.
Because quite honestly, it benefits the seller.
It benefits the seller.
I mean, if you were to tell somebody, "Hey, I got it under contract right now for $750," and another buyer wants that house, they may offer $760, $770. Again, that helps the seller. So Brooke's point, she said she was talking about Rivian, and she offered them a water. Do y'all remember me saying to y'all, if you go door knock when it's raining, they'll let you in their house because they feel sorry for you.
Right.
She gave them a water. She saw how hard they were working, how
right.
hot they were,
right.
sweat pouring off of them, and she's like, "Oh, baby girl, come over here, let me get you a water.
Right.
Let me get you something." That's what people will do. I'm telling y'all, take advantage of that. Go talk to people.
So let me tell you this. Let me tell you what would be a fan. Because the other group, there's another group on that chat on Facebook with that Rivian group, the Oconee Water something. And it's something about a Corps of Engineers project that's going on up here. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to dig into that a little bit. Apparently today's the 17th, any emails of people opposing something for the Lake Oconee something are due by 3 p.m. today. Today's the 17th. They're due by 3 p.m. today.
What is it?
It's a I'll have to look at it. I'll look at it this morning and see. But there is a pretty big thing that any public feedback is due by 3 p.m. today, so the Corps can review. These are the kinds of things, you guys, when I talked a while back about you need to be involved with what's happening in the communities you're serving. Because you know what we could have done? We could have easily requested, if I had known what all was going on, because I'm not in this area, so I don't really know, we could have easily requested someone from the Corps of Engineers to come in and almost do like a town hall type little community meeting at our office in Madison, brought people in, let them answer some questions, maybe even have like a business after hours, invite them in and say, "Hey, you guys, they're going to be here. It's just going to be a casual Q&A, different things." Because a lot of times the reason why people are either super opposed to something or super supportive of something is simply because they've heard someone else's version they've heard someone else's spin on a situation, and they haven't actually gotten it from the source.
Gosh, is that not
So
is that not why we are where we are as a country?
absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
So if you guys can be part of educating the community and hearing a perspective, because I promise you, the Corps of Engineers is very, they're the government. I mean,
Right.
but they're a government entity, but a lot of times they're not like politically driven so much as a lot of your other government situations that are happening. Now, I'm not saying they're not.
More of a regulatory board.
They're really more of a regulatory board. So they are just there to ensure compliance of things pertaining to the overall project. But there's a lot that goes into these things. And so the Rivian, I'm just going to use the Rivian. And again, I don't know enough about it. Michelle and you guys that live in this area, you might know a lot more about this. But is the opposition to this because of the damage to the environment? Is it because of they just don't want their town to grow? Is it because think about this, if this is going to bring jobs into the area, if this is going to bring and be able to, because guess how you bring the cost of housing back to a reasonable point? And I'm not saying it's going to crash, because I don't think it's going to crash, but to where buyers aren't overpaying. Because right now we've got buyers that are overpaying for properties. We've got buyers who are becoming house poor because that's the only way they can get a house, because they can't even rent a house, because these investors have come in and bought up all these properties to rent, and they're paying way more to rent a home, if they can even find one, than they would pay if they could buy a home. So the cost of home ownership is actually lower than the cost of renting, because you've got all these investors and entities that are coming in and buying up properties and jacking the price of rent. Lainey is about to rent an apartment, a 1-bedroom apartment. Cute. It's a cute little apartment. 1-bedroom apartment in Atlanta. She thought she was going to be paying $2,400 a month. She's like, oh, well, I got a first floor unit. It's only going to be $1,800, or maybe it's going to be $2,200, whatever. It's only going to be $1,800 a month. $1,800 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment in Atlanta. That is insane.
So there was Fox News did something the other day. Nashville has the second in the nation, in the country, the second highest increase in rental rates in the country. Nashville does.
Yep.
It's gone up like 38% in the last 12 months. That's how much rents is going up.
It's crazy, guys. What they say, destroying farmland and taking away from the small town living. Morgan County doesn't want growth, people, and traffic. Okay, so I'm reading this. So, and again, destroying farmland, it'll damage the environment, not enough emergency services, a plant that catches on fire. And now those are legitimate things.
Legitimate logistical issues.
Legitimate logistical issues. If the plant catches on fire,
and 4 fire trucks.
They've only got 4 fire trucks. Now, they're probably positioning it in a way, and I'm sure there's probably agreements with the surrounding counties, because like even in Hartwell or Franklin County, if anything goes down, all the surrounding counties come in and help with that situation. So I would just say, this is one of those topics where you've got to be very careful to kind of stay, even if your true opinion is either way, you've got to stay pretty careful about not taking a side, one side or the other, just because different people have different reasons for their perspective. But helping someone look at this is where Erica Macklin, I don't know if she's on this call or not. I'm gonna tell you right now, Erica Macklin is a master, absolute expert at saying things in a way that will take someone who may have a position, a pretty firm position and viewpoint of a topic, and help them see it from a different perspective in a way that truly opens their mind to seeing it from a different perspective. She is excellent at that. She might be, y'all, she's funny and we love Erica, but I promise you, if you've ever sat down and had a conversation with Erica Macklin about something that you may have a completely different viewpoint on, she can help you. And either, regardless of what her perspective is, she can see it from both sides as well. She's very, very good at that. But sometimes people just need to understand a different perspective and hear a different perspective when they're not in a defensive position. And it's very difficult to even think about or hear someone else's perspective when you're in a spot where you are just defending your position. You're not even hearing the other side. So that's why I think a neutral, like not at the Corps of Engineers office, not at just Exit Realty Lake Country in Madison is a very neutral place that would be a great way to have somebody who has this perspective and has this perspective. Let them have a very adult and calm, objective conversation, and let people get to understand both things.
But also understand if you've read Start with Why, or the Start with Why, and when Simon Sinek talks about the percentage of people, you have early adopters and you have late adopters, and then you have those. There's a percentage, but you're never going to pull out their position.
That's right.
They're always going to be on their position.
Right.
And more times than not, they're the loudest ones. Those are the ones you're going to argue with. Those are the ones that are going to cause you the most headache and issue. And you're going to waste your energy and your time trying to convince them of a point that they're never going to come off of.
Right.
They're never going to come to another perception or another perspective or another position. They're always going to be there because they're never going to come off of that. So just understand, kind of going back to what we said, pay attention to what's going on in the market. Pay attention to what's going on in your neighborhood. Every single neighborhood, Buford is different than Madison, and the market's act completely differently. Madison and Greensboro and Lake Oconee, Greensboro and Lake Oconee, those markets act completely differently.
Correct.
Nashville and Brentwood, completely different. Mount Juliet and Lebanon, completely different. You got to be an expert in the local market. You got to know nationally what's going on. You have to know from a national perspective what's going on, but then you've got to be an expert. We've got to be experts in our local markets, and we need to be the ones that is spreading the information to the people that want the information. We need to be the ones who are giving the numbers and giving the information to people who want the information.
Right.
That's the 10% difference. When I talk about 90% of the agents do 90% of the same things, this 10% difference that I'm talking about will be the 10% difference that'll set you apart.
That's right.
When the other agents fall away,
Right.
when cousin Jim, who got his license, really saw it on HGTV that Chip and Joanna can flip a house in 24 minutes, he'll get out. She'll get out. And you'll be the professional.
Right.
You'll still be there sitting there, and that 10% difference, and your business is going to blow up.
I want to say something right here because I'm reading Alex's comment. So here's the thing. And Alex, just you have a different perspective than most people about that particular topic, okay? And that is about, let's say, the emergency services, okay? Most facilities within the facility itself, outside of a huge explosion that would happen, okay? Most facilities, when I worked for public supermarkets and I worked in the dairy plant, okay, and there was a warehouse in the dairy facility themselves, there was in some of the like warehouses where they stored like foam containers. For those of y'all that don't know, styrofoam is extremely flammable. Sugar is extremely flammable, okay? In those warehouses, just the warehouses where they're storing, you don't think about styrofoam and things that we eat being super, super, super flammable, but they are. If you guys have ever seen about the Dixie Crystals refinery fire down in Savannah, that facility that just blew up and burned all those people. But within these facilities, so again, if these are the concerns, so she says damage to the environment, not enough emergency services, if the plant catches on fire, those are things that if you go and you talk to someone and they say these are our concerns, even just in conversation, make it a point for you to almost go ask the questions, do a little bit of your own research to get a better understanding, take that back to them because it's a concern that they have about the community that they live in and that we are servicing as a real estate company. Because it's not just about selling their house. It's about helping the community. It's about us being an advocate of the community. So maybe they think, oh my God, what if the plant catches on fire? Well, just for my personal experience, and I never knew it till I did a full tour of one of the dairy facilities, one of the warehousing facilities at the dairy facility in Atlanta. When I was doing the SAP ERP implementation, those rooms, they store all that stuff. There's certain rooms that all the flammable stuff has to be stored in. In the event of a fire, they have the fire walls and doors that drop and they foam those entire areas. So all that stuff's built into the actual facility itself to where the outside emergency services don't even, if it can be self-contained, and a lot of anything that starts like that gets self. So again, that's not going to fix. Yeah, we do see on the news where these facilities catch on fire and they're on fire and they're burned and blow up. But a lot, but that's a 0.0012% chance that that's actually ever going to happen. For the things that actually would happen a little bit more routinely on a daily basis of a facility, all those things are worked into the entire project plan. I can promise you that. The EPA is involved. There's lots of things that are happening that they're not going to allow to. So a lot of times people, they focus on that one little piece of the what if, and that's why, and they're not looking at the benefit of it's going to bring additional revenue into the county. It's going to bring additional housing into the county because there's going to be employees that need homes. It's going to do all those things. All that money is going to go to the tax base. There's different things that are going to happen as a result of, like a friend of ours, and Kim and Chris Lang, they're on here a lot. They moved to Evans, Georgia from Hartwell. And they moved there because the high school and they literally honed in on a school area, because the high school is what do you call it? It's a BA or B, whatever it's called. It's the baccalaureate program. Okay. And there's only select high schools in the entire state that have this program. And she said that the way that the county spends their tax dollars in that place is unbelievable. The parks, the facilities, all these things. So it could be that Morgan County is wanting this to come in because they know what it's going to do to their tax base, which will then turn around and far enhance the county and the community more than it would ever hurt it. So sometimes people just have to maybe have a different perspective and ask the questions. What's the county planning to do with all this additional tax revenue that's going to be coming in? What are those things? Because that might be able to get people to look at it from a perspective and say, okay, this is really going to benefit my children. Because, I mean, the odds of the plan itself actually hurting, yeah, it's destroying farmland. Guess what? If a developer comes in there and buys up all that farmland and puts a bunch of houses on it, it's still destroying the farmland.
Well, and I'll say this, and maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but this is Aaron Dwyer's perspective. This is not a perspective from Exit Realty Lake Country. This is my personal perspective. Me growing up in Nashville, I see things in Nashville where there's a segment of the population who gets mad every time a new building's built. There's a segment of the population,
Right.
even in Nashville, one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, there's a segment of the population who doesn't want growth, who oppose every time they put a crane up, every hole they dig, every new bar that's coming, every new apartment complex that's getting built. There's somebody bitching about it who doesn't want it to happen.
Right.
And so in Georgia, in our areas and where we are, it's the same thing in Hart County. It's the same thing in Morgan County. It's the same thing in Greene County.
Every county has that pocket of people.
They're trying to build something up in Greene County up by I-20 behind the Home Depot. It's going to be a huge complex. And I read the paper, and there are people that are complaining about it. Right. They don't want it to be there. They don't want the eyesore, all the things they say. Sometimes, all the time, people are afraid of the unknown.
Right.
People have a fear of what they don't know, and they would rather stay stuck or stagnant or where they are right now because they can see it and they can count on it and they understand what it is and they've learned how to deal with it, and they're much more okay in the situation that they're in versus being challenged with the unknown in a situation that it might be. They're more afraid of the unknown than they are of the known. We do that every single day. You do that every single day. We talk about this all the time, and it's not any different. This Rivian plant could be exactly what should happen to Morgan County. It should be exactly what brings more houses, more tax revenue. Hell, in Hart County, they're trying to squash people coming in developing neighborhoods.
Right.
There's so much housing that's necessary in Hart County. They need so many homes to deal with the influx of people that are coming in.
I'm going to give an example. During quarantine, Purina. So Logan works for Purina. Okay. Logan Guest works for Purina. We've got two of our agents in our company that work for Purina in Hartwell. Okay. Purina came in. People didn't really oppose Purina because they were going to come in and breathe life back into a building that had been sitting vacant in Hartwell for years and years and years. Okay. They came in, they bought the property, they put millions of dollars into infrastructure updates and improvements into this facility. Okay. They are now employing, I don't even know the numbers of who they're employing, but I will tell you this. When quarantine came, Purina was considered a what do you call it? An essential industry because they produce pet food. Okay. So anybody who's a manufacturer of food with human food or pet food was considered an essential industry. Unless it's baby formula. Right. So Purina actually every single day, both shifts ordered food for the entire plant from local restaurants and kept those local restaurants open. These big industries that came into this area, and there was a whole crowd of people that didn't want Purina in there. They still complained about the smell and this and that. The same people that Purina probably kept their small business open during the quarantine are complaining about, because some people cannot be satisfied no matter what. They cannot be satisfied. So it's one of those things that you just, if someone can take the opportunity to look at something from the beneficial side of it and just say, yeah, there might be some negatives here. Most situations are not going to all be sunshine and daisies. Okay. Most situations are always, there's dirt in every plant. There is dirt that's behind every flower that blooms. Okay. So you can either choose to focus on the dirtiness and what's negative about it or the ugly side of it, or somebody can choose to say, okay, we understand this is here, but what about here? And Alex, you made a comment. And again, I don't have enough background either way to even have an opinion. I don't know enough about what Rivian is going to even be doing. I don't know enough about the facility at all to even have an opinion, but I could be a devil's advocate for either side of it, because the thing about it was very secretive is sometimes they have to get to a certain point without anyone knowing. Otherwise they would never get to that point. If they had to fight, if they said, okay, from the onset of this even being a discussion, they brought the community in, they would never get past that front door. Sometimes you've got to be able to get to a certain point before it comes out. And then once they have more answers for people, then they can provide answers to the questions or the objections. Okay. So I challenge every single person on this call to think about something like that, and maybe even take an opportunity to have that conversation with someone who may be opposed to something and just say, so what do you think the benefits are going to be? Because sometimes they're so focused on the negatives, even though they know of what some of the benefits are. Sometimes it's just a matter of having the dialogue and having the conversation.
But understand who you're talking to, because I promise you, there are some people who bitch about beautiful flowers.
Well, and sometimes you just know that because you can just say, it's so nice talking to you. Have a great day. And you just got to exit stage right.
They're going to bitch about it being too hot, or they're going to bitch about it being too cold. They're going to bitch about it being too good, or bitch about it being too bad. And those people, there's nothing you can do. And I'm telling you, more times than not, that is a loud minority. They're a very small percentage, but they're so loud that everybody thinks that's the opinion of everybody in the community, and it may not be. So from our perspective, from what I want us to do and you to do, is just be a knowledge broker.
Yep.
Be somebody. Alex, you do a fantastic job of talking about here's the market value. Here's what's happening in Greene County. Here's what's happening in Morgan County. I'm telling you right now, and I heard this is what this guy said the other day. You should be doing a video every single month talking about the market conditions, talking about what's happening in the market, doing a TikTok every single day, or every single month, or every single week, however long you want to do it, right?
Right.
Talking about market conditions, talking about a neighborhood,
right?
Talking about what's going on. I'm going to tell you, and this is my opinion, and maybe we differ on this. I'm not sure that it's worth having a conversation with people, because more times than not, you're not going to get them to jump off their position. A lot of times,
I wouldn't have the conversation for the sake of trying to get them to jump off their position.
They're going to be just stuck in where they're stuck.
Sometimes you got to just plant a seed of, even if it's not even your position, you may be 100% on board with what they're saying.
And I agree with Linda.
Yeah, it is. Most people don't like change, but guess what? Even in a small town, there had to be change to create the small town, because most small towns come from somewhere that had 5 or 6 houses in it, and now it's got 6,000 houses in it versus 600,000 houses in it.
Towns used to be blank fields.
That's exactly right. So there had to be change to get to them. So we love you guys. We're rolling past the hour. I've actually enjoyed this conversation. I would love to bring Alex. I would love to see if we couldn't get somebody from somewhere that's got some actual information about this, so that we can educate ourselves, so that we can then in turn around and answer questions for people in the community with a from a place of knowledge and not from a place of assumption, from a place of factual based versus places of assumption. Because again, it's not even about having a conversation trying to change someone's mind. It's about seeking to understand,
Right.
asking a question, hearing what their concerns are. Because in all honesty, if their concerns are so I did notice one thing on that post, and I'm gonna say this. Somebody hopped on there and said, for all you people that are complaining, and it might have been the Oconee River thing that was on there. That might have been that you were complaining. We had a meeting the other night, and there were 15 people that showed up. There are more people complaining about it on Facebook than showed up to the actual meeting that occurred, that was marketed, advertised. They sent Facebook announcements out about it. It was put in, apparently it was put in the paper or something, and they had 15 people that showed up to it because no one knew about it. And they said, and it was done 4 or 5 days in advance. Because again, people, if somebody sends me something 2 weeks out, I don't remember it. I want them to send me something 2 days out, because I might make note of it then, but then I'm going to make a point to be there if I get a more current reminder. So I'm going to challenge you guys: seek to understand something, talk to somebody. If there's a situation, seek to get an answer for them or to get just more information. And like you said, the term knowledge broker is great, because we're not just real estate brokers. We're out here to provide value. We're out here to just be more. We're more than real estate. So guys, go out there and have a great day. We love y'all. Be good.
The weekend be great.
Be you.
Bye.
Bye.